Hello, folks. I am back, and I'm here to talk about the Springfield Armory Emissary. And I was in the range today, and I saw in the display case the Springfield Armory Emory, and I was really shocked to see one because I expected them to come out a little bit later. But I jumped on it right away. First, let me show clear on this so we know that we are all safe and the YouTube police won't come after me. And here you go. It is safe and it is clear. And I'm going to get this back right up here and start with my specs, and I'm going to try to go through this quickly. Okay, right now, as from what I know, is the Emory comes in 45 ACP only. It is black and stainless here, of stainless construction. Also, it has a 5-inch stainless match grade bull barrel with a 1 in 16 twist. So if you look here, you will see that it is a bull barrel. I just come from the range, so that's why it is appearing dirty, and it's proof that I've actually shot it. So yes, this is the bull barrel, and I am a huge fan of firearms, particularly 1911s that have a bull barrel. And I will talk about that a little more in a moment. So you see that nice bull barrel there. It is also, as you see, a full-length guide rod. And with most bull barrels, you have to use either a paper clip to disassemble this. And a lot of people are not happy about having to put that in there, but I don't mind it one bit. So let me get this back here. Also, the slide, as you see, is a carbon steel blued slide. And what's interesting about this blued slide is it's a tri-top. The only other firearm I have is a tri-top design is my Dan Wesson TCP. And the tri-top is a very, very nice looking look. It gives a kind of like a custom look, if you will, to the firearm. And if I can just get my camera to cooperate. Also on the slide, you're noticing that, all right, come on, act right. All right. You're noticing on this particular slide here, uh, the front serrations are a little different. Usually you have your traditional front serrations that go down in the back and also go down in the rear. Well, they made their slide serrations a little bit different. I guess they wanted to distinguish themselves different from other 1911 manufacturers, and that's what they did. They do have a ribbed top on the slide here, which these particular serrations at the top, and I'm really having a bad day focusing. I'm sorry about this, folks. Uh, these top serrations on here, they are kind of minimalistic because most of them stick up like really ribbed, but this is to aid in, let's say, glare. So you won't have any glare. And I'm going to try to work on this camera a little bit. There we go. So it's working a little better. So these serrations right here, they are to cut down on glare. And as if you look on the front here, this is going to be your front sight here, and this is front sight is going to be what they call their luminescent type front sight. As you see, is pretty bright, and you'll be able to pick up on target, and I will talk about that momentarily. And right here, you'll see your new U-notch rear sight. Your U-notch rear sight. So, these U-notch rear sights are starting to become popular. I know that on some of the what you would call the Wilson Combats, and also since this is a Springfield Armory product, it's also is known on the Hellcat. So I guess they brought that over from the Hellcat. A couple other things is it not only has that sight there, you have a ledge here for let's say one-handed manipulations off a belt or a boot. The frame is going to be a forged stainless steel frame, which is a really nice looking frame here. The thing about the frame, you look at this frame when you look at it, it's really, really nice. It has the Picatinny rail up front, so you can. It's I believe the 1913 style, as well as the front strap serrations here, as well as the back serrations here. Now, normally on the 1911, you'll see like the traditional front serrations, which would be somewhere between 20 and 35 lines per inch, so you can have a better grip. And you'll see it matches the front. But what's really unique is if you look at these grips right here, these are VZ G10 grips. Now, they must have worked very hard with Springfield Armory. So if you notice the pattern from the front and to the rear here, it works on these grips right here. So this grip here, what it is a thin grip, but gives you a very, very good positive grip all the way around. And when I was shooting this, I was wondering how I was going to feel about this, this pineapple slash hand grenade grip that you have here from VZ. I was wondering how that was going to feel, and it felt perfect. It did not move one bit at all when I was shooting this firearm. I do like the tone of it where you have the front and then there's this kind of like distressed look here, as well as the solid black here, which will go match with the beaver tail safety. And also the recoil system is a one-piece full-length guide rod. I mentioned that about the way the takedown is, and it does weigh 40 ounces with a total length of 8.4 inches and a height of 5.25 inches. It does come with two 8-round magazines, and these magazines are Mekar magazines. If you look right here, you see it's a Mekar magazine, and it holds 8 rounds. And what I like about these magazines is the way it's designed in the front there, so you don't have that dip in the followers like some magazines. They'll dip in the front and cause a malfunction. Mekar is one of the best magazine companies out there for other different firearms as well, and I rate them second only to Wilson Combat magazines. And I will, in the further testing, I will use Wilson Combat magazines. I didn't have them at this time to test it at this point. The trigger. One thing I noticed about the trigger that I didn't notice before, this trigger is a nice flat trigger, and you see some little bit of serrations right here, but the trigger is made of polymer. And I'm usually not a fan of polymer triggers on 1911s, but this one, you won't notice a thing. It feels good. It feels very precise. And one of the things is with the plastic trigger, there have been other 1911s that have plastic triggers, and also on your polymer firearms, they have plastic triggers. So there's nothing to fear about on that, but I'm just curious, would I have liked it better with the aluminum style trigger or not? But for right now, I'm going to leave it as is, as stock, and I'm not going to change this to a different flat trigger. So the trigger works out just as fine. And another thing about having a polymer type trigger is a lot of times when you have aluminum or metal, skeletonized metal trigger, you can get some biting on that, which you'll get a few little cuts sometimes based on recoil, but you're not going to have that issue with this firearm at all. And like I said, this firearm is what I consider one of the best firearms that 1911s I have fired in quite some time. I forgot to mention how this trigger guard is. The trigger guard is squared. They're still trying to get you into more like of a custom, but pretty much duty, or let's say any type of defensive firearm. So it is made as a defensive firearm. It's not supposed to be all glitz and glamour. It is to be used also as a practical firearm at that. And I like the way that cut looks. Usually you'll see that on more expensive 1911s out there. i.e. your Nighthawks, etc. You're going to see that in those. But this, they give you all this in this firearm at a what I consider a decent price point for what it is. Uh, Springfield Armory has lately been stepping up their game. It all started with the loaded package a while back, and then they upgraded that to the Ronin series. Then you have your specialized one, like the Vickers Tactical Masterclass, and now they've come out with this one. Now, to let you know about the shooting impressions I get with this bull barrel makes a world of difference with this firearm. You're not going to get a lot of flip or anything like that. You're not going to have that flip up like in some other 1911s, because most 1911s are going to be the traditional guide rod. This is going to have the guide rod and that bull barrel. Now, that bull barrel is going not only going to help aid keep the firearm down, it's going to aid in accuracy. And this is one of the really good things about a bull barrel. And I wish a lot more 1911 manufacturers, there are some 1911 manufacturers that will put them in smaller, there's pro lines like your Kimbers. Also, Springfield Armory has a TRP that has a bull barrel. Dan Wesson has a bull barrel in some of their firearms. So I really have a thing for bull barrels in 1911s, whether it's going to be 45 ACP or 9 millimeter. So this makes this firearm, it aids this firearm to track back real nice and with a positive lockup and get you back on target quickly. And speaking of targets, let me show you a few targets that I've shot today. If you watch my teaser video, you would see my first 16 shots were really out there, and I was really impressed. I'm going to probably do it this way. Okay, this target right here. This was part of the target with the first 16 shots. I stopped and filmed it real quick to let you see how the 16 shots were. Nice grouping here. Again, I'm working out some kinks on some bad habits where sometimes I will anticipate the shot. So I don't know why I've been doing that lately. So I'm working on that. So you'll see the shots here. That's on the first. And that's roughly about 7 yards. I pushed this about roughly, I was playing around with the distance of anywhere between 10 and 15 yards. So I was averaging, let's say, for the sake of argument, 13 yards. And I was coming up toward the left a little bit, but I still like the groupings. And I was shooting Federal 240 grain range ammo, white box. So this is what I was getting. Again, this is my fault. I can't blame the firearm for that. High and low. So I'm really trying to feel out the distance, what I can do in shooting this firearm. Again, I'm trying to tighten up a little bit and take my time shooting. Again, as you see these errant shots here, that's all my doing. And there is nothing wrong with the firearm. So these are pretty decent shots. And I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with it. I plan to do more shooting with this. I only did roughly about roughly about 200 rounds in this firearm. I wanted to do more, but this particular range I go to, there is a limit on how many rounds you can get. Still part of that backlog of ammo, and a lot of the ranges are like that. But I'm going to probably buy a case of ammo and just try to have at it with this. This is, like I said, this firearm is a really, really outstanding firearm. It's one of the best 1911s I've fired, and like I said, in quite some time. Especially with the tracking back and forth, and it gets you right back on target. No issues, no malfunctions, no nothing with this. So that's all I have to say about this. I'm going to keep you posted. I'm going to try to do another shooting video with this so you can see the distance I'm actually shooting, and hopefully I'll have that out soon. So with that said, I have nothing more to say, but this is a really decent firearm. I know some people have some issues with Springfield Armory in the past, but I only like Springfield Armory 1911s. I'm not a fan of their polymers, but this is a decent quality 1911 that Springfield Armory is putting out, and they are stepping up their game big time. So happy shooting, stay safe, hashtag 2A.